Hello, my amazing viewers. Welcome back once again. Wherever you're watching from around the world, thank you for being here. How are you doing today? And if you've been enjoying this emotional journey, don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next part of this unforgettable story. Because trust me, what happens in part 2 will change their relationship forever. Before we continue, if you haven't watched part 1 of this story, stop right here and go watch it first, because what you're about to see will hit much deeper once you know how it all began. Maya stared at her phone long after the message appeared. Daniel Reed. The name alone reopened wounds she had spent months trying to bury. We need to talk. Her chest tightened. Some betrayals don't fade with time. They stay hidden beneath the surface, waiting for one small reminder to hurt all over again. She locked the phone immediately. But Adrian noticed. "You look pale," he said from across the living room. "I'm fine." He studied her for a moment. "You don't have to pretend every second around me." The word surprised her. Because pretending was exactly what their marriage was built on. Living together began exposing the small truths neither expected. Adrian liked silence in the mornings. Maya hummed softly while making coffee. Adrian worked late into the night. Maya couldn't sleep without reading. They were strangers slowly memorizing each other's existence. One evening, Maya found Adrian asleep on the couch, his laptop still open beside him. For the first time, he didn't look intimidating. He looked exhausted. Carefully, she placed a blanket over him. Adrian opened his eyes slightly. Their gazes met. "Thank you," he murmured. A simple moment. But sometimes love begins quietly, before anyone notices. The official investor dinner arrived. It was the night Adrian needed to prove his stable family image to Hargrove Holdings. Luxury chandeliers glowed above tables filled with powerful people. Adrian looked calm on the outside. Inside, he was calculating every move. Then Maya entered the ballroom. And for the first time all night, Adrian forgot about business. She wore an elegant emerald green gown that perfectly complemented her rich brown skin. Her confidence was natural, not forced. Heads turned instantly. But Maya walked directly to Adrian. Not to impress the room. Only him. "You clean up nicely," she teased softly. Adrian actually smiled. A real one. And people noticed. Throughout the evening, Maya played her role perfectly. She laughed naturally beside Adrian. Touched his arm casually. Looked at him like she trusted him. And strangely, Adrian found himself wishing it wasn't an act. When one investor joked, "You two look genuinely in love," Adrian should have dismissed it. Instead, his eyes drifted toward Maya. For one dangerous second, he almost believed it himself. The next morning, Maya stepped outside a cafe, and froze. Daniel stood across the street. Same charming face. Same manipulative smile. "Maya," he said gently. Her voice hardened instantly. "What do you want?" "To explain." She laughed bitterly. Months later. "I made mistakes." "No," she replied quietly. "You made choices." Daniel's expression shifted when he noticed the expensive wedding ring on her finger. "You actually married someone." Maya said nothing. But Daniel's eyes narrowed. Because suddenly, he realized he had lost her. And some men only value love after destroying it. That evening, Adrian noticed Maya was distracted again. "You've been quiet all day." She hesitated. "I saw someone from my past." Something unfamiliar twisted inside him. "An ex?" She looked surprised. "Why does that matter?" "It doesn't." But his tone betrayed him. Maya watched him carefully. Was Adrian jealous? Impossible. This marriage had rules. And feelings were never supposed to be one of them. The merger negotiations intensified. Pressure consumed Adrian again. Investors demanded perfection. The media watched every move. Competitors circled like sharks. One night, Adrian lost his temper during a phone call and slammed documents onto the table. Maya flinched slightly. The room went silent. Adrian noticed immediately. And regret hit him harder than anger. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. Maya blinked in surprise. Men like Adrian rarely apologized. But she also noticed something deeper. Behind his control was fear. Fear of failure. Fear of losing everything. And for the first time, she understood him a little more. A rainy evening changed everything. The power suddenly went out across the penthouse. For the first time since they married, the expensive home felt human. No screens. No business calls. No pretending. Just darkness, candlelight, and honesty. Maya spoke softly. "You know, people think wealthy men have perfect lives." Adrian leaned back. "They don't. What happened to you?" He was silent for a long moment. Then finally, "My mother died when I was young. My father taught me emotions make people weak." Maya's eyes softened. "And you believed him?" "I had to." "No," she whispered gently. "You survived him." Adrian looked at her differently after that. Not like a contract. Like someone who saw him. The rain continued outside. Candles flickered softly between them. Maya laughed at something Adrian said, a rare sound inside the cold penthouse. And Adrian stared at her too long. She noticed. The air shifted. Slowly, instinctively, they moved closer. No cameras. No audience. No business deal. Just two lonely people forgetting the rules. Adrian's hand brushed gently against hers. Maya's breathing softened. And then, his phone rang. Reality crashed back instantly. Adrian pulled away. The moment disappeared. But neither of them slept that night. Because now they knew. Something dangerous was happening. The next morning, Adrian left early for a meeting. Maya stayed behind, still thinking about the almost kiss. Then her phone vibrated again. A message from Daniel. This time, it included a photograph. Maya's face lost all color. Because the photo revealed a secret connected to her past. A secret that could destroy her marriage, Adrian's company. And every fragile feeling growing between them. The photograph Daniel sent changed everything. Maya stared at it with trembling hands. It was an old picture from the financial company where she used to work, the company destroyed by fraud accusations months earlier. In the image, Maya stood beside confidential files that had vanished before the scandal exploded. And beneath the photo, Daniel had written, "Imagine what Adrian would think if he knew the truth." Maya's breathing became uneven. Because Adrian didn't know. He didn't know she once worked inside the very company that nearly caused one of his businesses to collapse years ago. And worse. He didn't know Daniel was connected to it too. For the first time since the marriage began, fear truly entered Maya's heart. Not fear for herself. Fear of losing Adrian. Adrian, meanwhile, found himself thinking about Maya constantly. During meetings. During interviews. Even during negotiations worth millions. It irritated him. He had spent years mastering control, yet somehow one woman's smile could completely disrupt his concentration. Sophia noticed immediately. "You're distracted lately," she told him carefully. "I'm handling it." "That's not what I asked." Adrian leaned back in frustration. Then finally admitted quietly. I don't know what's happening to me. Sophia almost smiled. Because she did. Days later, Adrian returned home earlier than usual. He found Maya asleep on the couch, a book resting against her chest. Soft evening light touched her face. For a long moment, he simply stood there watching her. Not because she was beautiful, though she was. But because she brought peace into spaces that had always felt cold. Without thinking, Adrian brushed a loose strand of hair away from her face. Maya opened her eyes slowly. Their faces were suddenly close. Too close. Neither moved. And this time, there was no interruption. Adrian kissed her gently. Soft. Careful. Real. Maya froze at first. Then kissed him back. The contract disappeared in that moment. No business. No arrangement. No pretending. Just two hearts crossing a line neither could uncross. But happiness rarely arrives alone. The next morning, headlines exploded online. Questions surround Coal Dynamics merger. Anonymous accusations claimed someone connected to Adrian's household once participated in financial misconduct. Maya's stomach dropped. Daniel had started moving. And Adrian had no idea the storm was connected to her. At first Adrian dismissed the rumors. Until one investor placed a file in front of him. Inside was Maya's old employee profile from the scandalized company. The room became painfully silent. You married this woman without knowing her past, the investor demanded. Adrian stared at the page in disbelief. Not because Maya once worked there. But because she never told him. And suddenly, every emotion he felt became tangled with doubt. That evening, Adrian confronted her. You worked there. Maya swallowed hard. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was trying to escape it. Adrian's jaw tightened. Escape, or hide? The question hit harder than shouting ever could. Maya's eyes filled instantly. I never stole anything. But you lied to me. Silence. Painful silence. Then Adrian stepped back emotionally. And Maya felt it immediately. The distance. The mistrust. The beginning of heartbreak. Daniel watched everything unfold with satisfaction. Because revenge was never really about money. It was about destroying what someone else finally found. And Adrian was beginning to realize something terrifying. The thought of losing Maya hurt far more than betrayal itself. Weeks passed with growing tension. Adrian buried himself in work again. Maya withdrew into herself. The penthouse became cold once more. Yet despite his anger, Adrian couldn't ignore one truth. He missed her. Missed her voice. Her warmth. Her quiet presence in his life. Love had entered his heart so deeply that even pain couldn't remove it. One night, Adrian overheard Maya crying quietly behind a closed door. And suddenly every wall inside him cracked. Because guilty people cry from fear. But broken people cry from exhaustion. In that moment, Adrian realized something important. He had never actually asked for her side of the story. Maya finally confessed everything. Daniel had manipulated financial records in their old company. When Maya discovered it, he framed her involvement to protect himself. Her reputation collapsed while he disappeared untouched. I lost everything, she whispered. My career, my future, my trust in people. Adrian listened silently. Then asked the most painful question. Why marry me? Maya's eyes watered. At first, survival. The truth hurt. But then she stepped closer. And somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling fake for me. Adrian looked away immediately. because hearing that should have comforted him. Instead, it terrified him. Because he felt exactly the same. The merger was now hanging by a thread. Investors panicked. The media intensified attacks. And Daniel continued leaking damaging information anonymously. Adrian's empire began shaking beneath him. But strangely, the business crisis was no longer his greatest fear. Losing Maya was. For the first time in years, Adrian stopped sleeping at the office. Instead, he stayed home more often. Not because things were improving, but because he noticed Maya slowly fading emotionally. She smiled less, spoke less, laughed less. And Adrian hated himself for causing part of that pain. One evening, he finally sat beside her quietly. "I believe you." Maya looked at him in shock. "You do? I should have listened sooner." Her eyes filled instantly. Because sometimes healing begins with 4 simple words. Meanwhile, Daniel grew desperate. Seeing Adrian and Maya reconnect enraged him. He wanted Maya miserable, regretful, alone. Instead, she was becoming stronger. And Adrian was becoming protective in ways he never expected. One rainy afternoon, Maya visited her old workplace searching for evidence that could expose Daniel permanently. But someone followed her. As she exited the building, a black SUV suddenly accelerated toward her. Tires screamed. Maya froze. Then strong arms pulled her backward just in time. "Adrian!" The vehicle sped away instantly. Maya's body trembled violently against his chest. And Adrian held her tighter than he ever had before. For the first time, he was genuinely afraid. Not of losing business. Of losing her. That night changed him completely. Adrian realized love was no longer optional. It was already there. Deep. Unavoidable. Real. He walked into Maya's room later that evening. No walls. No pride. No contracts. "I can't lose you," he admitted softly. Maya's eyes watered instantly. And Adrian kissed her again, this time with all the emotions he had spent years suppressing. The kind of kiss that carried fear, longing, apology, and love all at once. But happiness remained fragile. Sophia uncovered devastating information. Someone inside Coal Dynamics was secretly helping Daniel. An insider. Someone close. And when she traced suspicious financial activity, the evidence pointed toward one of Adrian's oldest business partners. Richard Kane. A man Adrian trusted for over 10 years. Betrayal hit differently when it came from family-like loyalty. Richard had secretly benefited from the merger collapse. He wanted Adrian weakened enough to force him out permanently. Daniel was merely his tool. When Adrian confronted him, Richard smirked coldly. "You built this company emotionally disconnected from everyone," he said. "Did you really think loyalty existed?" The words cut deep because part of them felt true. For years Adrian treated relationships like transactions. Now the people who truly cared for him were the ones he almost pushed away. Maya became Adrian's greatest source of strength during the chaos. Not because she solved his business problems, but because she reminded him who he was beyond them. For the first time in years, Adrian laughed again naturally. A real laugh. And Maya realized something beautiful. The cold man she first married was disappearing. And beneath him, was someone worth loving completely. Then came the moment everything changed. Adrian publicly defended Maya during a live press conference. Reporters attacked her reputation aggressively. But Adrian stepped forward calmly. "My wife is innocent," he said firmly. "And anyone targeting her will answer to me directly." The world fell silent. Maya stared at him emotionally. Because for the first time in her life, someone chose her publicly instead of abandoning her. That night, Maya finally admitted the truth she had been hiding from herself. She loved him. Completely. Love transformed the penthouse slowly. What once felt cold now carried warmth. Morning conversations. Shared meals. Late-night laughter. The fake marriage had quietly become real. And neither wanted the contract to end anymore. Adrian began changing in ways even he barely recognized. He canceled unnecessary meetings just to spend time with Maya. He started sleeping peacefully again. And for the first time since childhood, the future no longer felt empty. But peace never lasts easily. Daniel, cornered and desperate, made one final move. He leaked forged evidence suggesting Maya secretly married Adrian to gain access to company information. The internet exploded instantly. Commentators attacked her. Investors panicked again. And the board demanded Adrian distance himself from her publicly. Instead, Adrian did the opposite. At an emergency board meeting, tension filled the room. One executive spoke coldly. "You need to choose between the company and your wife." Silence covered the room. Then Adrian stood slowly. "For years," he said calmly, "I sacrificed relationships to protect this company. And it nearly turned me into someone I no longer recognize." The room remained frozen. Then Adrian continued. "I'm done sacrificing people who actually matter." And for the first time in his career, Adrian chose love over fear. Maya later discovered what he risked for her. "You could lose everything," she whispered emotionally. Adrian stepped closer. "You are not everything I could lose." Her tears fell instantly. Because no one had ever loved her that fearlessly before. Sophia eventually uncovered the final proof exposing Daniel and Richard completely. Financial records. Emails. Hidden transfers. Everything. Police investigations began immediately. Daniel tried contacting Maya one last time. But this time, she wasn't broken anymore. When they met, Daniel expected weakness. Instead, Maya looked at him with calm strength. "You almost destroyed my life," she said quietly. Daniel lowered his eyes. "Because power disappears the moment victims stop fearing you." Adrian arrived moments later. And Daniel finally understood the difference between himself and Adrian. One manipulated love. The other protected it. As legal battles unfolded, public opinion slowly shifted. Maya's innocence became clear. And surprisingly, Adrian's company grew stronger from the scandal instead of collapsing. People trusted him more now. Not because he appeared powerful, but because he finally appeared human. Weeks later, Adrian stood alone inside the penthouse holding the original marriage contract. The paper that started everything. A deal. A transaction. A fake beginning. Maya walked into the room quietly. Adrian looked at her for a long moment. Then slowly tore the contract in half. Maya's breath caught emotionally. "No more pretending," he said softly. And then, with complete honesty for the first time. "I love you, Maya." The words hit her like sunlight after years of darkness. She smiled through tears. "I love you too." And in that moment, the marriage that began as a lie became the truest thing either of them had ever known. And just like that, the contract that started as a cold business deal had turned into real love. But don't celebrate too quickly. Because the biggest test of Adrian and Maya's relationship is still coming. The scandals may be fading. The enemies may be exposed. But life has a way of testing love when people least expect it. Will their marriage survive the final storm? Can two broken hearts truly build a forever together? Or will the past return one last time to destroy everything they fought for? The final part of this unforgettable story is filled with powerful emotional moments, painful sacrifices, shocking twists, life-changing surprises, and the ending nobody saw coming. So stay tuned for the concluding part. And if this story touched your heart even a little, don't forget to like this video, comment where you're watching from, subscribe and turn on notifications. Because trust me, you do not want to miss how this story ends.